Hey, welcome to another episode of Sidekick TV. Today we're joined with Josh Wilson from Sidekick Cloud, and Josh is a chartered accountant. Now that is important, isn't it? We were talking about that.
Very important. It took a long time to get it, so got to talk about it.
So Josh is part of the Sidekick group. He's within in a sister company with, as I say, Sidekick Cloud, and that's a business that was formed to really help a lot of clients of the Sidekick group, and also further afield. Really engage with tech better in their business, create more efficiencies, get better at using Xero, get better at using these add-ons, of which there are
700 plus.
A bit of a minefield to try and know them all. Okay, so but there are plenty of really good ones out there, and so this has been a really great value add to a lot of our clients to be able to get more out of it. And if you're watching this video, in the Sidekick support group, then you're probably already familiar with Josh, because I get him to field all the questions in there that are tricky. If you're watching this in the Sidekick Business Lounge, great, welcome back. And if you're watching this on YouTube, again, welcome, and make sure you subscribe so you get to see all of our new videos. Now, Josh, we had same format as always, 3 simple questions about your business, so you can tell us a lot more about, I suppose, what's out there for businesses and what they can look to achieve. Without further ado, the first one I really want to cover off is with Xero. So many people are familiar with it, okay, but where can people use Xero and some of those main add-ons in their business to really build efficiencies and improvements there?
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you for watching the video. Great to meet you all. To answer that question, the key thing I think to understand at the start is that Xero is a platform, and that's their whole emphasis, is to be a platform where other things can link into it in a seamless fashion to give you a business solution that's the best of all worlds. A lot of people are quite used to systems that try and do everything, and that's where I put the sort of master of all, master of none scenario, where they try and do all these different aspects, and they do some of it well, some of it not so well, whereas Xero in the add-on community enables you to pick out the best in all these different areas, link them all together, and get the best solution for business. So, like we said before, there's over 700 plus add-ons, and it's being added to and changed all the time, but some of the things it covers off are the likes of your job costing, so Workflow Max and a lot of other systems in that space, stock management, point of sale, and recently, a year or 2 ago, Xero acquired a product called HubDoc to really speed up its document capture system, and that's included free with business subscriptions. Fantastic program. Then you got your payment intermediaries, so your Stripe, Go Cardless, all these other ones that you can link in. There's even ones for, of course, the farming division, who use a product called Figured to help with their farming clients and to help them with managing their farms, planning and reporting to the bank and everything else like that. And then, of course, we've got reporting programs like Spotlight, Futurely, Fathom, all these other programs that can link into Xero and help with our business clients and help them with their understanding where their business is at, where things are going into the future, and help them with their bank reporting as well. You've obviously got your payroll, time recording, and then you've even got some more obscure ones like Vineyards. There's a couple of programs that link in for that, and also there's a equestrian one that I recall as well. So probably the biggest thing to take away from that is there's over 700. There's quite a likelihood that whatever you're wanting to do with Xero is in there somewhere in an app.
Yeah. It's funny, and there's 700 that, from the outside looking in, you might go, they all do the same thing, or similar. And it's funny, they've got these little unique features, haven't they, that separate them from someone else. So it's actually, funnily enough, talking to someone about it this morning. We were talking about inventory management, and one simple thing. You imagine if you sell lumps of wood, right? You buy in big lumps of wood, you cut it into other things and sell it. So you're depleting big stock and making it little stock and lots of different things. You go, that's cool, that's stock management. Actually, no, it isn't. Most systems go the other way. You
Yeah.
buy little bits of wood and make big bits of wood. But
Yeah.
it doesn't work if it's wood, you know?
Yeah. So it's disassembly rather than assembly. Yeah.
And only some of them do that. But you'd have to know
Yeah.
which ones do or don't.
And that's where it's really critical to understand your processes in as much depth as possible, rather than look at it and go, well, this looks really good. I've got a mate that's used this, that's talked to me about it at a barbecue. Great, I'll just jump on that. That time that you spend on investigating and checking that the process that you follow actually fits the software, or whether you need to change or whether you need to change software, is really critical, because a lot of times I come across businesses that have just kind of jumped in and gone, oh yeah, we'll make it work. And then they talk me through the workarounds they've done and I go, why?
Yeah.
It could be so much better. And it could just be looking at a different program, because all of the programs are built by humans with their own agendas, and those agendas will be different. Even though they might both be stock management, they'll both have different pain points that they'll want to solve, or things they will have thought of that others won't have.
I mean, one example of that is Ferguson App. So I've always really loved Ferguson App when it's used by plumbers, electricians and gas fitters.
Yeah.
Because it was built by a guy that was a plumber.
Yeah.
So that emergency, we need to get someone there.
Yep.
Don't send the normal plumber, because actually this is a gas job. Send the gas fitter.
Yeah.
Like all these little things that you just wouldn't think of in Workflow Max or
No,
in
exactly.
other software.
Yeah.
You know, built by someone in that industry, and they've done a really good job of it. So
Yeah.
a bit of background on that can really help.
Yeah, there's a few programs like that. My Trucking is another one that was built by a person who used to run a trucking company. So they have that inside knowledge. And a lot of times where you've got that inside knowledge, you get a better product out of it, because they understand the business, because they've been in it and they've understood the pain points. I had a client recently who I think they're onto their third point of sale system. And for them, they're like, right, I now have seen 3 different systems. I know the good things that they've done and the bad things. I think I could build a really great one now, because I've seen all the problems and all the good bits, and it can combine them into one. So a lot of those people can build great programs where a software programmer might struggle. Yeah.
Because
Not got the industry.
Yeah, that's it. It's an academic process, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not a practical one.
Yeah.
Okay, so with there are clearly these efficiencies to be had. What kind of time are you seeing people save? Right. So you've got when someone's transitioning from paper-based. Let's pick an example like logistics. The pick and pack, here's the paper, do this, drive this here, and then you've gone and moved on to something like My Trucking. Is there a quantifiable amount that people can save in time in office, back office?
It's a bit of a how long's a piece of string scenario, because a lot of it can depend on how well people adapt to it. And that can be the admin staff, it can also be your truckies in that case as well, how well they adapt to technology as well, but it can easily be hours. I think the key fallacy that people fall into is they think, great, I've got this new program, I'm going to save all these hours straight up. It doesn't work that way. You've got to allow for that time for you to understand how the program works, your customers to understand, suppliers, everything else, for all of that connection to fall into place, to then have those benefits come. So hang in there, it comes down the track. But easily can be hours. Like I've had clients like taking the document capture, for example, just simply using HubDoc, that are saving hours of time, and they don't have big wads of folders of paper lying around all the time. And they don't have to worry about paper fading or someone losing a receipt or something like that. It's all stored in there, IRD compliant, everything. So it depends on a lot of things, but hours easily. Yeah.
I actually see that quite a bit as well when when you record all your data like that, data capture, that's your first set of hours saved,
Yes.
right? And then you then switch that into doing batch payments.
Yeah.
Great, there's the next set of hours saved, and it's far more accurate.
Yeah.
It's far more idiot proof.
Yeah.
Way easier to delegate off, and it's more secure.
Yep.
You just go, hang on, I've just saved a day and a half a month, and it's 10 times better than I could have actually done it. So,
Absolutely, it's great.
Cool. And I suppose that brings me on, the next question that we were thinking about there was, So if a process can be automated, should it be?
The first thing I would say in relation to that is, have you heard of over-engineering? That's kind of where that space can lead to. So I actually had a mate of mine in LinkedIn put up a post recently about whether a process should be automated just because it can be. And that over-engineering discussion leads into cost versus benefit. Is the cost of having a program doing this going to result in sufficient benefit to make it worthwhile? Because sometimes if it's manual, that doesn't mean it's wrong. There could be a very good reason for that. So I was actually talking to a metal crafter this morning, and he was talking about, I need clients to sign off particular code of compliance or something like that. And he's like, can my program do that signing? I said, no, it can't. I said, you can get programs to do that, but for one piece of paper, it would just be just as easy to have it saved, use your other program to take a picture of it, upload it, and then that's done. So it's not fully automated, but it's still an efficient process.
A podcast I was listening to the other day quoted saying, any idiot can build a bridge. It takes an engineer to build a bridge that can only just stand.
Yeah. yeah, exactly. And actually there's been an ad on TV recently about websites and talking about how they can look the same or they can be over-engineered. And I think the picture they have on the ad is someone that's got a cornflake and tweezers and a wee syringe for milk to put on it. And it's going, that's the classic example of, yes, you could automate it, but why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? So it's asking that why question of, is this going to give me sufficient benefit for the cost of doing it to make it worthwhile?
Yeah. Okay.
Paper's not wrong.
No.
Sometimes it's needed.
Yeah. An example of that with us is, so we don't integrate our sales CRM with any of our other software in the business. Reason being, I know we could, but actually there's very often differences as to why we do it this way or that way, or we sell differently to how we bill, or you'd have to build something absolutely perfect for it to work. Therefore, there'd be no cost benefit to doing it. And actually, what you've probably done is painted yourself into a corner where you then can't innovate, or you can't think on the fly. And actually, I think that's what a lot of Kiwi businesses really thrive on. Just go, we don't do that. Do you want us to?
Definitely. And then the other thing that kind of leads into that and ties back to the first question is, some programs say that they integrate with others, but integration is a loose term. So some people's version of integration is you can download an Excel file and then import it into another system once you've done some changes to it. That's not really an integration in terms of Xero integration. So that's where you're going, right, is this automation really automation? Is it actually going to help? Understanding what that automation is going to do, and therefore, is it worthwhile?
How many of your clients do you think will have truly automated processes in the business?
As in all their systems, or a good degree of them?
Say some of them. They've got good, functioning, working automation in their business.
I would say any of my customers that have got an add-on product linking with Xero, absolutely, because my emphasis in the sort of work that I do is not only understanding what's going on in Xero and the add-on, but how the two of them link and communicating that, because often if you're getting support from one or the either of those programs, they'll know all about their program, but as soon as there's that crossover, that communication's lost, and that's the sort of space that I really like to work in, because it's helping people understand what those programs do. So short answer is yes, pretty much all my clients would have that automation in there, and my focus is making sure that automation works as efficiently as it can.
Why are they doing it?
They're doing it because to avoid duplication. Cool. So in a lot of scenarios, like your job costing or stock management, they're creating, say, orders or invoices or quotes and things which they want to then pass over to Xero to do the data tracking. Because at the end of the day, Xero's data tracking is the best. And none of these add-ons can really do that to that level. So that's where you want to have that information passed across as seamlessly as possible so that that accounting function can carry on without the need to have to go, right, I'll copy that data and put it over to here and waste hours of my life in the process.
And I suppose actually for any of the younger people watching this video, although if they're that young, they've probably tuned out by now. But, Xero essentially has internal automation. You know, when I used to do these Xero demonstrations on keeping your sales overview up to date when you're reconciling in the bank rec. Okay, I've just clicked that this client's paid me. Now I go and look at my sales overview. That's been taken off the aged receivables. That's been taken off my dashboard watch list. That's so actually in other systems you'd have to go, that's like that was actually probably 10 steps. And now it's.
You click one button, it's done, and go, hello, everything's updated.
So actually, I suppose we can look at automation and we can over-engineer what we think automation is, but actually a lot of it's happening in Xero already, and it's just
you can over-engineer what it is and also what it needs to be. Because that's probably the second part, is the part where I think people can. I sometimes get clients that they're really enjoying the automation and go, I want to automate everything, and go, hold the horses. Let's just decide what actually needs to be automated here. Because at the end of the day, computers are only as good as what the humans put into the computer. And sometimes humans can think better than the computer can. Not always, but it's those tedious things that the computers are good at. Let them do that, and let the humans do this.
Cool. Another thing that people are talking about a lot when it comes to efficiency, automation, there's still a bit of a concern out there at times if we're sending data here, there, and everywhere from the bank to the Xero to the CRM or job tracking software. How secure is it? Right? And what measures should people do, or what measures are people doing where they can ensure that their data is still secure?
Absolutely. So a lot of you that have been using Xero or other add-on products will probably have seen information recently about something called two-factor authentication. Now, I get a mixed response when I bring this up, because it's quite common in businesses where they'll have like one admin login and everyone shares it across the whole business, which I get is efficient, not necessarily the best from a security point of view, but things like two-factor authentication add that extra layer of security, because if we look at it from the software's perspective, their emphasis is keeping your data secure, because if they cannot keep your data secure, their whole program falls. Because with it being in the cloud, it's got to be secure, because if it's not, trust is gone, no one will use it, everyone flees.
Worse than that.
Even worse than that,
They are on the stock market, so they're share price.
So actually, talking to them through their pockets. Exactly. But from our perspective, having the likes of a two-factor authentication removes the risk of logins being shared. It also helps with the likes of, say, an employee leaves. If they leave and they can't access that two-factor authentication anymore, they can't dial in and have some fun with your data. The other thing is you're not relying on your staff setting strong passwords, because the authenticator is making those codes and that for you. Because if it was just relying on your staff's password, I mean, there's the whole first child's name, date of birth, and a number, and I'll just use that password across like 7 different things or more.
It's efficient, it's what I do.
It's efficient. Security-wise, not so great. But that's where the likes of the two-factor authentication is really, really helpful. That gives you that extra layer. It's an automatically generated code. You can have it on an app on your phone. You can have a code generated on your browser. There's so many different ways you can do it now. There's not really any excuse to not have it. And when you consider the benefits about fraud protection, protecting yourself for security purposes, and it just means that your data is that much safer, and it's not something you can take for granted.
And let's actually think about that as well, is when you're protecting against risk, and I say people are concerned because you've got data flying here, there, and everywhere between systems, but actually systems often won't have the desire to rip you off. People will. When I think of fraud in Kiwi small businesses, I would say of every 3 that I see, and I don't see many in truth, of every 3 I see, 2 of them will be internal. 1 of them will be an external force there. So someone that's hacked into your emails to go, aha, I'm going to start sending out invoices to your clients, and I'll write in your tone of voice. I'll do all of that. That happens. It's pretty rare. The admin person with a gambling problem, is, as in my experience, twice as likely to do it. It's not visible.
No.
You never know if someone's got a gambling problem because they don't tend to get richer.
No.
Right? You can tell if they've got a drinking problem because, other things fall apart. But if they're stealing to fund gambling. But the point of this 2-factor authentication is that don't have one admin login, have individual admin. So if someone changed the bank details on an invoice, which is a common way of defrauding.
Very common.
They logged in, they did 2-factor authentication. It was them, it was this time, they did this. We know.
You know who did it, you know when, and in the likes of Xero, there's an assurance dashboard which will actually tell you this bank account number was changed, or this bank account number is the same as someone else's, or this person went and did this change. So that automation's there, but it only works if the logins are set up in a secure way, because otherwise it could be anyone in the admin office that's done it.
Someone in admin did this. Oh, great.
And then the other thing is the likes of Xeros. I've had once or twice I've had people locked out of their Xero accounts because they didn't remember their password, they tried too many times, and because they didn't have 2-factor authentication, it took them a long time to get back in because it was that much harder for them to prove that that Xero file was theirs and it was their information. If they had 2-factor authentication, not a problem.
I think in my first fortnight of working for DJCA, I locked the whole firm out.
And avoiding things like that.
Hey, it was a good safety check.
What not to do.
So look, to wrap up this, Josh, so when people are looking at Xero, and I know sometimes people get a bit frustrated with Xero because it doesn't quite do this or that or what they expected, because they've come from, as you introduced at the beginning, a system that does everything. Might not do it all well, right? But they've moved to Xero, it doesn't do everything. What should be a good place for them to start to try building efficiencies? And
I think the first part is look at your process. So I would put all software to the side and go, right, in a perfect world, what process do I want to follow? What are the key points that I want to have here? What is useful information? And then go to the software program, so Xero or an add-on program, and go, right, do you meet this criteria? That's your starting point. You need to start outside of the software with what you want yourself and then make the software work for you. Because I find if people try it the other way, it's reverse engineering, which doesn't necessarily work, because what you end up doing is working around the software, and there could be better ways. So actually, classic example, I had someone that I was talking to yesterday where they're running a job costing system. And the reports that were coming up were showing the timesheet information in a time format rather than decimals. And their payroll system needed it to be in decimals. And they were taking that information out and manually converting it every fortnight when they did a pay.
To turn a 0.1 into 6 minutes.
Yeah. Cool. So I chatted with them and I said, well, actually there's a setting here that we can change. Change the setting, the report now shows the way they need it to be. And what needed to happen there is going, right, what process do we want to have? Now let's find out if the software can do it, rather than going, oh, can't do it, right, we'll just find a process around it. Yeah. You've got to do that digging. If you don't find out the full capacity of the program you're using. And my emphasis is you don't want to go straight to an add-on for the sake of it. Look at what you're doing, try and fit it all into what you're doing in Xero first, and then decide, right, how much of this do I need to take externally? I mean, if you've got stock management, okay, clearly you need an add-on for that. Job costing, most cases you want an add-on for that too. So there'll be some cases where it's obvious. But there's others where if your business is quite small, you want to really focus on getting your process and what you want out of it sorted first, then go to the software and get it to deliver what you want.
Well, one tip on that one, start with the end in mind.
Yes.
Don't use this as an opportunity to change processes.
Yeah, absolutely. So just because it's the process you use doesn't mean it's the right one.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, look, on that, I'd like to wrap up. That was excellent. That would be really good content there for a lot of our listeners.
Right.
My remote isn't working, so I can't stop recording from here, so I'm just going to do an awkward walk around. If you've got any parting words, go for it.
Yeah. Yep. So thanks for your time, everyone. Really appreciated it. And reach out to me on Facebook, Sidekick Cloud, if you've got any questions. Happy to help. Thanks.